Hello guys, welcome back. I hope everyone is doing great. So today we have a double unboxing. I have here a fragrance that I purchased yesterday at Printemps, a department store that recently opened in New York, not far from where I live. It's a little dangerous. They have a beautiful, beautiful selection of niche fragrances. And then I have here a fragrance from the house of Nishane, a new release from the house called Meant to Be Seen. And I opened the box just to save some time. Now, Meant to Be Seen will be a first impression, while the fragrance that's in the Printemps bag, I did test while I was there, and I decided to get a travel size. And that one is from the house of Hellenist, and we'll get to that in a few minutes. We'll start with the one from Nishane. So this one, Meant to Be Seen, is a 2025 release from the house. And I think the last time that I either spoke about or really paid any attention to the house of Nishane is when I spoke about Nishane, which is a fragrance that I own, I really like. I don't reach for it much, but I'm not getting rid of it. I really do enjoy it. A Cécile Zarokian fragrance, a big fragrance. And then I have a bunch of samples by the house of Nishane, like Ani and Fan Your Flames and some of the more popular ones, but none of those ever turned into a full bottle. And so here we have Meant to Be Seen. And the reason that I went for this is because it popped up on a discounter, and it's the 100 ml size bottle, and it was at a fantastic price. And if I don't like it, I know that I could probably declutter it pretty easily. And also the scent profile. So the scent profile, from what I've read, this was a blind buy, from what I've read is similar to something like Musk K. So powdery, musky, on the clean side of fragrances, which I do enjoy. And the perfumer behind this fragrance is Jordi Fernandez. And I am not really someone who has tried too many Jordi Fernandez fragrances. I feel like he's in the category with Quentin Biche, two perfumers that have gotten a lot of buzz, a lot of attention. I'm just not sure if the style perfumery is my style, even though I did try Tilia by Marc-Antoine Barrois, and I do own a full bottle, and I ended up liking that one. I'm not sure what I'm going to think of this one, just because there is Akigala wood and some synthetics, but I was willing to give it a try because of the scent profile. So without further ado, let's unbox this. We'll see what we think here. So the box does feel large and heavy, and I think Nishane does do a pretty nice job in terms of presentation. And like I said, this is the 100 ml size bottle, and this is actually an extrait de parfum. I did not realize it until just now. So it's an extrait concentration. So I expect this maybe to be closer to the skin, but long lasting and maybe a bit strong. So it pulls out like this. And we have here a card. Let's see. Meant to Be Seen. It's a postcard. Very cute. So because the bottle is so pink, do I assume that this is definitely a feminine leaning fragrance? It is a sort of fuchsia pink cube. It's heavy. The caps are non-magnetic, but they're very heavy. And we are going to spray this. The sprayer disperses a nice amount of liquid. Musky, floral, aldehydic, clean. Yes, it does sort of remind me of something like Musk K. There's nothing so far disturbing about the Akigala wood in here, so I have learned my lesson not to turn fragrances away the minute I see Akigala wood. It depends how it's done. It also depends how the fragrance dries down, because I do feel that certain fragrances, and I can't think of an example at the moment, but I can think of certain times where I've smelled fragrances with Akigala wood, and I thought in the dry down that Akigala wood definitely comes to the surface, and that's what I'm left with. I would not be so thrilled if that happened here, because this is really pretty. It is powdery and there is violet in here, so you have that sort of purple petal sort of image. You do get that floral that comes along with the violet, and it is definitely powdery, but there is something creamy within the composition because there is orris butter in here, and I do get the creaminess. And I like that, but there is definitely that sort of synthetic musk in the backdrop. You can't get away from that. I do pick it up, but it's not anything disturbing. It feels a little bit more powdery and a tiny bit more full-bodied than Musk K, where Musk K comes off like a white fragrance, kind of the color of the bottle. I think it's like a white bottle. It comes off more like a pure musk and white in color, as far as I'm concerned. This one has more powderiness and a little more like a violet-y sort of petal as an image as opposed to pure white. So I do like this. It's a variation of something like Musk K, even though Musk K is compared to this and I do get the similarities. This one definitely has a little bit more going on. I do get, like I said, like a purple lavender petal, powdery petal in my mind as an image. There is something a little bit warmer in here. There is something a little bit more substantial. Maybe it's coming from the orris butter. There's sandalwood. So it's not a strong woody backdrop because the fragrance definitely maintains a musky, sort of lifted, translucent, transparent, but not 100% translucent, transparent in terms of musks. It definitely lifts off the skin because I'm getting wafts as I'm speaking. And it definitely has warmth. The sandalwood is not prominent, but I do think that as a backdrop, it gives something a little bit more substantial to this musk. Otherwise, it would just be clean, just a clean musk with powdery nuances, and it's a little bit more than that, I would say. I'm getting the nuances of the violet. I get the orris butter. I get the hints of that sandalwood in the backdrop. Do I get civet in here? There is civet as a listed note. I'm not getting anything like civet, at least not as a first impression. So as a first impression, it is a clean musk. It's powdery, it's nice, it's delicate. I would enjoy this. This is definitely something that I enjoy, and I have a tray that is specifically dedicated to fragrances like this. Musk K, some Le Labo musky fragrances. I forget which others, and I may do a video about that tray. It is specifically dedicated to these sort of out of the shower, musky, clean fragrances that I like to wear, oftentimes to bed. I also have Mugler's Over the Musk. They have either re-released it or it's back. I'm not sure if it's reformulated. That one's on the tray. That's a fairly new addition to my collection as well. And this one is fitting right into that sort of category. And it's nice. It's really nice. Nothing off-putting about the Akigala wood so far. So I'm pleasantly surprised with this one. There's something almost a little bit smoky in the backdrop, and I'm reluctant to say that. It's what I picked up in Musk K, but I have to wear this, so I'm a little reluctant to sort of mention this. It's almost something like a ashy smokiness that comes along with the remnants of a cigarette. I'm not saying that it smells like cigarette smoke or cigarette ashes, but there is something a little bit smoky. Maybe it's part of the musky component. So that's meant to be seen by the house of Nishane. So next, let's open this, and this is Hellenist's Le Bras de Morphée. I'm not sure if I'm saying that correctly, but you guys mentioned that I should try this one. So this I went and tried immediately on the suggestion of you guys when I was speaking about orris butter fragrances. I think I was speaking specifically about Damacupa from the house of Baruti. And then there's also Melt My Heart from Strangelove, New York City. So those are sort of orris butter, irisy fragrances. And I say orris butter because they're unique. They're not cold iris fragrances. They're sort of full-bodied, buttery orris butter fragrances, like raw orris butter, which I'm really liking. And so this was definitely on the to try list. And Printemps does such a nice job of wrapping and sort of making a purchase feel special. I definitely could have come home and looked for a discount, but there was someone helping me and he took so much time in helping me to smell some of the Hellenist fragrances. So I felt that I wanted to purchase from him. And so I got the 15 ml travel size rather than the full bottle. The full bottle is the 100 ml. So I think it jumps, I think from what he said, it jumps from the travel size to the 100 ml, I believe. I don't think there's a size in between. I could be wrong. Maybe I misunderstood. But at least at the Printemps store that I visited, that's what they had. So I think this is absolutely perfect and brilliant. I wish a lot more perfume houses would do this. This is great. It's not even a travel size in the usual sort of long, skinny packaging. I like this much better. I feel like this is sort of a bottle of perfume. It feels more like a bottle of perfume in the collection and less like a travel size, although this is definitely easy to travel with. And I was very impressed with this fragrance. I sprayed it on and then I went about my day. I did some shopping and I was getting wafts of this coming off the skin for hours. So I think the performance of this one is fantastic. And this one was released in 2024. The perfumer is Suzy Laheli, or Suzy Lahel. And this not only has orris fruit, there's also violet leaf and violet and heliotrope. And so there are a lot of powdery components in this fragrance. But at the same time, at least from first impression, I only wore it once. So while you have, again, similar to the Nishane, the violet leaves as an imagery, the powdery sort of purple violets, in my mind, it evokes that sort of image in mind. Here you have a nice buttery orris butter, and it feels very raw. But this one, unlike Damacupa, which I think has a little bit of that musky, slightly animalic tinge, and unlike Melt My Heart, which has that cacao and is a little bit more, it's a little less floral, I feel, than this one. A lot less floral, actually, in my opinion. This one has a lot of violet floral component, and it meets the orris butter. So you have that orris butter like Melt My Heart and like Damacupa, but more florals in here. So let's go ahead and spray it. I really enjoyed this. And so I would say that it's not redundant because this would be a more floral take on this raw orris butter scent profile. And the heliotrope is really super powdery. You have to like powdery fragrances. You have to like violets. You have to like heliotrope. It's like a lavender bomb. Lavender is the color, buttery, irisy, almost a little bit textured. It's really, really nice. This is something that I love because I like powdery fragrances. If you're not into powdery fragrances, this will not be for you. If you don't like violets and heliotrope, this is not going to be for you. But the orris butter in here is really, really nice. Very smooth, very round fragrance. Full-bodied. I wouldn't say that it's translucent, transparent, and I feel like Melt My Heart and Damacupa are also full-bodied. Now, I'm not a perfumer, but is that something that comes along with that sort of raw orris butter scent profile? It might. I'm really liking it. And hazelnut and tonka bean. So do I get something nutty in the backdrop? Not really. Maybe just a hint. There's cashmeran in here as well. So there's definitely a sort of fluffiness that comes along with this. If there's anything nutty from the tonka bean or the hazelnut, I'm not picking it up as a first impression. It could be in there sort of mixing together with the powders and the creaminess and the orris butter and the violets and the heliotrope. Maybe just a hint of something sweet, but not too sweet. I feel like the reviews that I read about this fragrance speak of a sweetness. I was almost reluctant or not interested because I thought I read a couple of reviews that mentioned a lot of sweetness with this fragrance, and I'm not getting a ton of sweetness. I get a ton of powderiness and butteriness. Orris butter, powderiness, heliotrope. I know I'm repeating myself because that's what predominantly is coming off my skin and what I'm getting as a scent profile here. There is a smooth sweetness in the backdrop for sure, but it's fluffy. And I really like this. I like the color of the juice, by the way. And I really like this packaging. It's great. It's simple. It's definitely simple in terms of packaging, and I like the graphics on the front of the bottles. And so I would be into delving into the house of Hellenist. I think the person who helped me sprayed a fragrance that was a sort of green, fresh, floral fragrance. I'm not sure if it was all about tuberose, and that one I wasn't too crazy about, so I left the card on the counter. But this one I fell in love with the minute I sprayed it, even though I was then sort of sampling some other things. The minute I sprayed it, I knew that I was going to go for a bottle. So this is a great buy, and I think I will be enjoying this one. So let me know if you guys have gotten your nose on either of these fragrances, especially the new one by the house of Nishane. Let me know what you guys think if you've tried it. As always, thank you so much for watching, your support, and your comments. Until next time, bye guys.